Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I want to make a few things clear before we move on to other questions regarding the Signal chat. Director Gabbard, yesterday before the Senate Intelligence Committee, specifically when answering Senator Kelly, you repeatedly said you did not recall any discussion in the Houthi PC small group discussing operational details, strike targets, the type of vehicles and military units involved, or the timing and order of strikes. Do you stand by your testimony from yesterday that you do not recall any of the discussions regarding this type of classified information? Yes or no?
My response in the Senate yesterday, yes, I stand by that response. Obviously, the release of the screenshots that came from that chat group today were a refresher on what happened. As I said earlier, I was not involved with that portion of the chat, so it did not come to my recollection yesterday.
Thank you. So I take that as you stand by your do not recall yesterday stance when you were asked those questions. You've been in office 43 days. Director Ratcliffe has been in office 62 days. This was considered the first major military operation using lethal force of the Trump administration. Was this the first, this was probably the first time that you've been involved with a discussion like this on a thread. It was not discussing, you were not on a group chat discussing where we're gonna go for lunch. You're discussing putting men and women of the armed services in harm's way. That's a major decision. So, and when did that happen? 10 days ago? Okay, I'll answer that. It happened 10 days ago. Here's the point. Like something of this magnitude, it's something that you would not forget. It's something that most people, if you're taking this job so seriously, that you would not forget. I mean, since I've been on this committee, there's been days that I have woken up in the middle of the night from the things I learned in SCIF. So deciding to use military force is something hard to imagine. So the do not recall doesn't pass the smell test. It makes it, it's unbelievable that was the case. So that's what the American people don't understand. And I know a lot of folks in this administration were saying that they're going to take on the establishment and drain the swamp, but you have become that swamp in a matter of days, not weeks or months, days. So one of the things we're going to look into is what actually occurred, because the American people deserve a full accounting. Additionally, the main person who was involved in this thread that a lot of people want to talk to is Secretary of Defense Hegseth. And a lot of questions were brought up regarding his drinking habits in his confirmation hearing. To your knowledge, do you know whether Pete Hegseth had been drinking before he leaked classified information?
I don't have any knowledge of Secretary Hegseth's personal habits.
Director Ratcliffe, same question. Yes or no?
You know, no, I'm going to answer that. I think that's an offensive line of questioning. The answer is no. I find it interesting that you want to... No, I'm going to answer. You asked me a question. You want an answer?
No, listen,
you don't want to focus on the good work that the CIA is doing, that the intelligence community...
Director, I reclaim my time. Director, I reclaim my time. Here, I have huge respect for the CIA, huge respect for our men and women in uniform. But this was a question that's on the top of minds of every American, right? He stood in front of a podium in Europe holding a drink. So of course, we want to know if his performance is compromised. If people were asking if the General Austin was compromised because of a heart issue,
was his performance compromised because of a successful strike?
I yield back, Mr. I bring my...
You want to know, you want to talk about accepting responsibility? Do you think you should accept responsibility for a successful strike to make Americans safer? You want to focus on...
I reclaim my time. So here's the thing. This is serious. As somebody, we've been briefed in this committee about using Signal. One of the things they basically said, the most secure, phone call. The least secure, text messaging. And we know that your people, Russians, Chinese, are on your phone.
Gentleman's time's expired. Gentleman from Virginia, Mr. Klein.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to give the director the ability to respond without being interrupted by his questioner.
I appreciate that, Congressman. I guess, just a general reflection here, again, that for the last 2 days, members of the intelligence community have been asking questions about a signal messaging group and not asking questions from Democrats either in the Senate or the House on China, Russia, Iran, and the real threats that are going on to the United States. And you can say that you care about the good work that agencies are doing like the CIA and that you care about 140 stars on the wall, but no one's asked me about my second day on the job here, where I lit the fuse that led to a foreign government participating with us to capture one of the senior planners of the Abbeygate bombing that killed 13 Americans. And in the process, we worked with a government that previously hadn't, that hadn't cooperated with us on counterterrorism matters. Or the fact no one has focused on that within an hour of that taking place, I was on the phone with Director Patel, and a few hours later with Attorney General Bondi, working together, the IC and the FBI working together to bring this person home in less than a week. Unprecedented success for the intelligence community and the law enforcement community. Exactly representative of the kind of work that we should be doing and the kind of work that an oversight committee should be asking about. But instead, we're getting questions about whether or not someone has drinking habits. I just wish in an annual threats hearing where the American people want to hear about threats, that's what we would be talking about. Thanks for the opportunity to clarify.
Absolutely, Director. I want to thank you and all the people who work with you and all the witnesses and the men and women, the brave men and women who are putting their lives on the line each and every day for this country. And to the military as well, we are grateful and we recognize the sacrifice and dedication. Director Ratcliffe, you talked about China being our top national security threat, and I want to go to what really is the most active and persistent threat. It's related to cyber. It's related to the People's Republic of China cyber activities, Volt Typhoon, Flax Typhoon, Salt Typhoon, targeting U.S. critical infrastructure, targeting critical infrastructure overseas, compromising U.S. telecommunication companies, and I want to ask Director Gabbard, there are also regular compromises of government networks in the defense intelligence base. The Chinese are acting with impunity and targeting the United States. Clearly, the last administration had no effective deterrent strategy. Considering a whole-of-government approach to leverage legal export control, trade, and other levers, is there more that the U.S. can be doing to deter China's cyber aggression?
Thank you, Congressman, for your question. In short, the answer is yes. Much of that relies on our intergovernmental planning and operations, but also very closely integrating with our private sector partners. This is essential for us to be able to harden our own cyber infrastructure, our own critical infrastructure, and to look at what our capabilities, both defensive and offensive, are and how those should be used. If I may, Congressman, I'd just like to address Congressman Gomez's maligning of my reputation and not giving me the opportunity even to respond to his accusations. What occurred in that signal chat was an update to National Security Cabinet members that was also issued around the same time as updates to our foreign partners and allies in the region. There were no sources, methods, locations, or names of targets that were included in that chat. The decision to conduct this operation had been made long before that conversation took place. I do take my responsibility very seriously and played an integral role in providing the intelligence community's assessments that led to the ultimate decision by the President to conduct an operation, which, by the way, was very successful and continues to be very successful. I was traveling at the time, and I was not playing a very specific role, as these chats reflect, in much of the conversation that took place there. Secretary Hegseth, in my experience, has continued to operate in the way that President Trump's confidence in him inspires, which is in the best interests of the American people and our war fighters, and ensuring our national security. I think it's wrong to impugn him, especially at a point where he is not here to defend his own honor. Thank you,
I
Congressman.
agree with your assessment and support for the Secretary, and I yield back.
Gentleman yields. Ms. Houlihan.